Ficino, he went down to Rome with 900 theses of syncretism. I have his book. It's called Syncretism in the West. You can get it. You can get it through Amazon. It's only $30, and you can see all of his 900 theses, 30 years before Martin Luther's 90 theses, which were Protestant corporate inferior theses, totally corporate, which started a new Protestant corporate structure for the world. Whereas Marsilio Ficino, he was a Neoplatonist, he was a syncretist, he was an astrotheologer, he was all of those things, and he went down to Rome, and of course they persecuted him. He was going to debate with the Apostolic Senate in Rome, the popes, and so he started putting posters and billboards all around Rome saying syncretism is back and it's here to stay. And so he was. They poisoned him eventually back in Florence, where the Medicis were funding syncretism. Sorry, I'm speaking about Pico, not Marsilio. Marsilio stayed in Florence. His student, Giovanni Pico della Mirandola, he's the one who went down to Rome to try and save the world. This is 100 years before Giordano Bruno was burned at the stake for teaching syncretism in the year 1600. Unfortunately, he didn't get enough time to convert Queen Elizabeth. And Queen Elizabeth was listening to Giordano Bruno, and she was going to make England a very Protestant kind of hermetic Neoplatonist country. But of course, that didn't happen because the wrong people were speaking to Queen Elizabeth I, and Giordano Bruno was betrayed. He was the crown, old man time, Satan the devil at the Vatican, the false prophet, and put to death. And so I've experienced this kind of witch hunt in my country and from all around the world, really. Some people who are still in the opinion and sense realms of consciousness would happily condemn me to the most deepest parts of the fiery hell with Satan, because of teaching the true science.
Right.
Yeah, they choose to have their separate Baptist or Catholic or Jehovah's Witness or whatever it is, illusion, rather than the unity of syncretism. So I have three key words that will always remain with me in my philosophical and mystical journey as I grow myself, and they will be syncretism, the ecliptic, and the word atom. With these things, you can know all things, and you will know all things, because syncretism is neutrally uniting all things. The ecliptic is the teacher, and atom is the ecliptic. The ecliptic is atom. For instance, today is the 3rd of July, the feast of St. Thomas Day. Why is a day before 4th of July, which is Helion Day, the day the sun is closest to the Earth, and the sun's only about 3,000 miles high up in the sky, and so we've got a flat projector screen that the sun produces called Earth inside a sphere. The sun is doing circles above the Earth about 3,000 miles away, but it is closer on July 4th, perihelion day, than it is on its opposite 4th of January, apohelion day. And so why is the 3rd of July called Feast of St. Thomas, Tammuz, right in the middle of the sign of Cancer, which is in the Jewish system called the month of Tammuz? So you got the Feast of St. Tammuz in the month of Tammuz, Cancer, at the Tropic of Cancer. Let's have a look at that one. That's today. But the ecliptic is the wave. The ecliptic is the path of the sun from March the 21st, the equinox, to the Tropic of Cancer, June the 21st, the solstice, to the equator once more, 23rd of September, the autumnal equinox, Judgment Day, 23rd of September. Remember 23, you can look all this up on the internet. 23 is a very powerful number in secret societies because it's atonement, day. It's the equinox of autumn. And then as the sun departs from that equilibrium, Judgment Day in Libra, the scales of judgment, Tishri of the Jews, then it goes to the Tropic of Capricorn. And that's what the sun's doing all year round. It's going from the goat, climbing the mountain as it waxes to the Tropic of Cancer, and then the sidewards walking animal called the crab begins to backwards slide all the way down. Hence, the Muslims have Ramadan, 1 month of mourning in Cancer, month of Tammuz, because now a sad thing is happening. The sun is waning, you see. And the Jews, they go off and they have their fasting and mourning, and they say the month of Tammuz is evil, it's cruel, it's merciless. And the Lord, Moses apparently broke the 2 stone tablets. They were broken in 2, of course, because when the sun reaches the Tropic of Cancer, it divides the year in 2. It's been waxing for 6 months, now it's going to be waning. So that's the 2 stone tablets of the Moses. And so it's the ecliptic. As Walter Russell, the great, said, the secret of creation lies in the wave. Well, we all know that the wave field, the wave has a wave amplitude. Well, that's Cancer and Capricorn, the solstices. And we know that the wave starts at sine, and cosine would be the tropics, where the Cancer and Capricorn, whereas Aries and Libra at the equinoxes, 21st of March, 23rd of September, Atonement Day, these are the 2 balancing sine wave starting points. So you've got sine and cosine. You see, when Eve ate of the apple, Eve is the Ave wave, Ave Maria. Eve, she eats the fruit, and she has a co-sinner with her. She gives Atom, the ecliptic, some of her fruit and says, you taste it with me. So sine and cosine are basically the sine wave, and as Walter Russell said, the secret of creation is in the wave, and the wave that we call the year is the ecliptic. And the ecliptic teaches all things. And what I'm going to do after I release Atomic Language and Atomic Theology presentation, 250 PowerPoint slides, pages of the most penetrable and deepest research that you will ever find probably in history.
Damn.
About our atomic theology and atomic. I've already released tens of radio shows and presentations called Atom and the Ecliptic online for free. But the second one I will release will be called The Holy Days and the Ecliptic. And I will start at March the 21st and show all of the holidays, the birthday of Sri Rama on April 15, Ramadan, Christmas, Easter. I'll show them all on the ecliptic and show how they all coincide and correspond with the seasons on the ecliptic. All of your festivities like Easter, they all correspond with the spring month. Spring, spra, prana, Ra coming into life, the blossoms. Then all of your Ramadans and all of your, 6th of August Assumption Day or Transfiguration Day that are related to the summer months. Then you've got Atonement and Yom Kippur and Rosh Hashanah of the Jews in Tishri. That's all your autumnal festivities. And then your Christmas is your winter. And I'll show how, because obviously when I release Atomic Language, there will be academic types which will need more proofs. They will not be satisfied. Right. Many will be. Many will be thoroughly satisfied that we have one language. It's atomic. Hence we have etymology, the science of words, etymology. And so what I will do is then release that one and then subsequent 20 other already prepared, fully developed presentations, which I actually I did a few of these presentations on my 2003 Europe tour, but unfortunately no one has put them online. The only presentations I did out of these 22 that are online, the Glastonbury Zodiac and Syncretism presentations, and the Stonehenge one that I did about the sun and how the sun in history, I called that one. So, and you'll also see online another one about Ascension, which is another presentation I've got about the Holy Science, which I did in Amsterdam. So if you punch those words in YouTube together with my name, you can get a glimpse of the PowerPoint presentations that I'm doing. Unfortunately, I did 14 presentations in the UK alone, Manchester, Birmingham, London. I went everywhere, and 12 of those are probably lost forever. But that's why I'm going to release them now, hopefully in the signs of Cancer and Leo. Cancer is where my North Node is, and Leo is my ascendant. So these are my two good months along the ecliptic. I always have great, June, July, August, always, all my life, as I've noticed.
I'm kind of curious, actually, because I've been looking into so much of your work and the astrology side of things. How much control and free will do we really have over our lives and emotions and tendencies when so much of what seems to make up our lives here is decided by the stars?
If we remain in ignorance, we are totally 100% governed and controlled by that destiny and that fate, that fatalism. Once you know your astrological chart and you know the science of the Word of God, astrotheologia or astrologia, logia is logos, the Word, and astro is, well, light, and God is light, last time I checked. Hence, astrology is the science of light. So if you learn your natal chart and the propensities and dynamics that are in your chart, for instance, you know what your ascendant is, you know what your sign, for instance, my sun is in Aries, 24th of March, my moon is in Pisces.
Funny, my birthday is the 25th of March.
Oh, holy hallelujah.
Very close.
Yeah, the first decan of March is ruled by Mars, so we are very martial. The March portion of Aries. The April portion is ruled by the Sun, the middle decan, and then Jupiter is the third decan. So we are very martial. We're good fighters. We're good action leaders. We're like a good stubborn combative ram. But if you learn your natal chart, then you are getting a glimpse of your defects and your strengths, your dynamics, your propensities. And so like a mechanic that will point out that noise in your motor, that's not a pretty noise. That's that's your camshaft, that's your cam belt, and that's only got about 100 or 200 miles of life in it, and you better get that fixed. While you were thinking, wow, I love the sound of that noise in my motor. And so, the foolish one will turn his radio up when he hears some kind of a clickety-clackety noise in his motor, so he drowns out the symptoms, and so there's no more symptoms left. You see, it's a bit like what an aspirin does. You take an aspirin so that your headache goes away, because now your stomach is bleeding and you're going to be bleeding potentially to death. So now you have got a different problem. You forget about your headache. The aspirin works.
Yeah.
It takes you to another problem. Now you've got ulcers and holes in your stomach and reflux and gas problems and all sorts of intestinal woes because you've taken some prescribed drugs. Funny about that.
Right.
Yeah, so that's syncretism, brother. I know I'm going pretty fast, but I am inspired today. I was very inspired by the 3rd of July and by what I'm going to share with you. And I know that you're a very, very open-minded kind of guy, and I know that if you don't get all these things that I'm saying the first time round, you can listen back to the recordings and you will get it. You definitely will get it sooner or later, because this is the science of ascension, the science of light, and the science of unity, oneness, bringing all things back to the one, when all are one and one are all. The song Stairway to Heaven, eh? When as we wind on down the road, our shadow's taller than our soul. There walks a lady we all know who shines white light and wants to show how everything still turns to gold. Yes, if you transmute lead, that is, you will. She's reminding us that as we walk on that path, that if we buy our stairway to heaven and we go up those ladders, the ladder of Jacob, We will say, as Jacob did one day when he said, I've seen God face to face, and I shall call this place pineal gland. So you will arrive and you will activate and crystallize or, crystify your pineal gland. Decalcify it, and it will crystallize. It will harden up, and it will become a rock, a diamond, a crystal, and it will emanate like a tongue of fire above your head. You will have a halo. You will have an energy that people will see in your eyes, that your soul is good, it's pure, and you are serving the good. You are serving God. You are serving your higher yourself for the sake of your being and the sake of humanity.
Can't wait.
Well, you're doing it. You're doing it now. You are a hero. You are pointing people to, great researchers on your show. You're giving them a chance to speak and get onto the airwaves and save many, many, many souls. You don't need to be specifically aware of all of these units of salvation that you are putting out, but you are reaching the hearts of people and changing them. They will get many aha moments themselves and remember the call. As Ulysses remembered Penelope, she was fighting off all these suitors. Well, the suitors are worldly wisdom, you see. And so when we are tempted by the siren, and Ulysses tied himself to that mast so that he wouldn't be seduced by the lower sirens, and he would be called by the higher sirens to go back. So when he came back to his land, he didn't recognize it anymore because he was returning. It wasn't the first time he was there. But the reason why he didn't recognize, and Penelope didn't recognize him, he knew her, he recognized her. But the wisdom, Sophia, Penelope, she needed proof. So, of course, he pulled out his bow and arrow, and then she realized, because he had perfected his lower instincts, and he has returned now, like the prodigal son returns to his father. And he hears that voice, and he pierces the third eye with his arrow, and he awakens and returns, and he is restored, and the suitors must flee. In fact, he kills all the suitors because they are worldly wisdom. They represent a different kind of wisdom. It's sort of a lower philosophical kind. You see, Plato, when he went to his third stage, when he went from the philosopher to the mystic, of course, we don't have any of his mystical works, unfortunately, but that's when he separated with Aristotle. Aristotle could not follow him, and Plato went to southern Italy and died there, and where Pythagoras also died, and all the other great philosophers down in Calabria, where I come from. And of course, Aristotle went off and started the peripatetic school of the wandering philosophers, philosophizing, and the sophists. There was a school that sort of went inferior sophists. The original sophists were dealing in wisdom for the sake of wisdom, for the sake of bettering one's soul, whereas the latter sophists, sophistry, they become what the word sophistry signifies, and, they commercialized it. And so it's an inferior sort of a philosophical way, but we will merge the philosopher with the mystic. That is our destiny. We're all destined. So going back to your question about the stars, and, you feel rather uncomfortable about having all of these electrical dynamics in your body. Well, some people are born with no arms. Some people are born with no eyes. Some people are born with a lot of courage. Some lack courage.
Yeah.
Others achieve. Others have sicknesses and nasty accidents and misfortunes in marriage. This is all in the chart. I can find all of this in the chart and more. And so once one knows this, then like the mechanic who tells you, that tappet noise, that's not a very good noise, then what do? Well, do you turn the radio up, or do you now consciously affect a solution? Do you repair the car and go forward? And this is what astrology does. It shows you the crystalline nature of your soul and your intellectual nature and your physical nature. It shows whether you will have a long physical life or a short one.
Wow. Yeah, I guess the knowledge is power. Why not know about it?
True. And the greatest knowledge you can have is the knowledge of what's on your ecliptic.
Well said.
Yeah.
Wow, man. I guess we should probably start wrapping this up, but we should do this again for sure. There's a lot more depth to this material. I'd love to talk more about the composition of our reality that just seems so far off from what we're taught that it's even hard to conceptualize. And it's just a whole big ball of wax, man, and I love talking about it, but I guess we should kind of call it in with that. I mean, you've provided quite a bit of crown control kryptonite here. I guess, would you like to remind the people about your website and where they can get your lectures and anything else you have on the horizon?
Website is Universal Truth School, one word. That's it, universaltruthschool.com. And there I have lots of videos you can watch. Connects you up to my video channel on YouTube. And I've also got, for those who want hard copies, I've got DVDs there too available. I've got 6 syncretism graphics. These are the most inclusive type of syncretism graphics on astrology and all of esoteric wisdom that you can possibly get. You've got the whole science just in graphics, and you can receive those digitally, and then you can turn those into wall posters should you want to, because they've got enough pixelation there. That's my website. I've also got a lot of syncretism shows on a radio channel that I do a lot of work on, astrotheologyradio.com, and you can listen to a lot of this type of information. Very
cool. Well, I have had a great time, man. Definitely enlightening stuff, very dense, and I'm going to have to listen a couple of times, but I pretty much just wanted to stay out of your way because it's so much to get out, and I'm glad that we did. I think you did a great job breaking that down. So thanks again for being here, and take care of yourself out there, man.
Thanks, brother. You too. Catch you next time. Take care.
And boom goes the dynamite, people. Santo Bonacci, syncretism, ascension, atomic language, and triple crown control. I liked it. Santo had a lot of his latest research he wanted to get out. I'm humbled that he chose THC, and I think some of these components really jive with some of the Hadibov research we've been talking about with Crow. The atomic language material, to me, sort of jives with the idea of a holographic universe dictated by octaves and vibration and resonance. The idea that sound and words have a deeper meaning, and maybe our language has been refined to avoid certain tones and sounds that might reveal some of this importance. I don't know. Seems to be a major component of the scientific quarantine. And we didn't get too much into the controllers and the legal mechanisms they use until the second hour because there's just so much to get out about those earlier topics and atomic language and ascension. And in the Plus show, I was able to follow up with more questions I had about some of these things Santo is so clued in on: astrology, maritime and contract law, and the stratification of control there, the power and usefulness of entheogens. He also talked about the Khazarian and Roman families marrying together, the Jesuits with the Freemasons, in a partnership that seems to have been working together ever since. We also discussed the firmament and the flat earth idea, and the concept that we're in a shell, and how the flat earth theory actually works better with astrology, according to Santo. Really fascinating stuff. I wasn't aware that he was in the camp that we live on a flat plane. But we got into how he confirmed it for himself during an international flight, and he throws out so much great material that sometimes I miss things the first time around, and I was going back over this interview, and he actually did drop it in the first hour. I only missed it. He said, we live in a sphere rather than on a sphere, and I just didn't think about the implications of that statement. I do think it's really interesting to see so many people coming to this kind of conclusion. It seems to be growing more every day. In the Plus show, I liked how he put it in that we've got a flat screen projector on which the sun produces the image called Earth inside a sphere. I mean, I love it. But it's all awesome stuff. Atomic language, ascension, syncretism. I like how Santo pulls a lot of seemingly different things in to show that they're really all the same. I think that's a great approach. Also, he has a show starting on American Freedom Radio, an online radio network, and they've also just started playing THC on Saturday nights, which I'm grateful for too. I think American Freedom Radio and Art Bell's Dark Matter are the two biggest alternative internet radio networks. Happy to be on them both. Of course, THC is always available on demand whenever you see fit, just by subscribing to the RSS feed or going to thehighersidechats.com. But you know these things. Also, as this is the 4th show of the month, we got a money bomb coming up. I'm going to be giving half the donations back to a random listener. I'm probably going to be picking someone on Friday morning, so keep an eye on those inboxes. Thanks so much for listening. I think this next show I just recorded is really going to blow some minds. I can't wait to get it out. But until then, that's it for me. I've done my part. Your move, Triple Crown controllers, sovereignty stiflers, and consciousness captors. Your frickin' move.
Have a drink and a smoke. Listen to the cast. We shine a shiny spotlight. Put criminals on blast. The pinstripe men of mourning and families of finance. DuPont, Windsor, and Rothschild. The kids don't stand a chance. The kids don't stand a chance. I said the kids don't stand a chance. We're looking for the answers to questions never asked. So we come to the Carwood for the higher side chats. The pinstripe men of mourning and families of finance. DuPont, Windsor, and Rothschild. The kids don't stand a chance. The kids don't stand a chance. I said the kids don't stand a chance. Involved in shady business, we try to get a glance. We're working on the numbers. Resistance must advance. The pinstripe men of mourning and families of finance. DuPont, Windsor, and Rothschild. The kids don't stand a chance. The kids don't stand a chance. I said the kids don't stand a chance. The kids don't stand a chance. I said the kids don't stand a chance.
shall know the truth, and the truth shall make you free.
Believe the Earth is a sphere. The answers you get might surprise you.
The curving horizon, the sloping sea level, the spin of the Earth. Unless you can see these phenomena with your own eyes, they may not be true. Unlike what we've been told in school, the Earth looks like a snow globe, round but not sphere. The North Pole is at the center of most flat Earth maps, with the ice of Antarctica holding everything in.
The round or spherical Earth theory is propagated by some conspiracy.
And the number of people who think so is growing. Millions of people still believe the world is flat.
And it's the subject of tonight's special report. WCIA3's Aaron Eads is here with us now. And Aaron, as far as conspiracy theories go, flat Earth theory is actually getting pretty popular.
Yeah, believe it or not, the number of people who believe the Earth is flat is actually growing. Scientists might have an idea of why that is, and it's worth talking about. And what better place to do so than one of the flattest places in the country, right here in central Illinois. It doesn't get much flatter than this. Geological survey data shows Douglas County is the flattest county in Illinois, which is the second flattest state in the whole country. On a clear day, it seems like you can see forever, but you can't. Through the eyes of a person of an average height, the horizon is about 3 miles away. But that's it. You can go up higher to see a greater distance, but you'll never be able to see the whole world no matter how high you get. But there are ideas that this is a sham. NASA, a fraudulent organization bent on siphoning your tax dollars. The moon landing didn't happen.
Those iconic blue marble images seen from space, fakes.
You start seeing words like composite or animation or something that tells you this is not an actual photograph of the Earth.
The biggest concern with the flat Earth movement is how fast it's gaining steam.
All right, fascinating stuff. All right, Aaron, thank you.
Very interesting.
Well, new this morning, all our lives, we've been taught that there's little doubt that the Earth is round, of course. We've seen the images from space, but not everyone's really convinced.
There's a whole group of people who are not convinced. Denver 7's Nicole Brady joins us live this morning. And Nicole, a conference dedicated to people who think the Earth is flat kicks off today.
There are some variations in what flat earthers believe, but some common themes are the Earth is not a sphere, as you said. It's not moving. We are not spinning on an axis or revolving around anything. And they don't really believe in space. Some flat earthers are biblical literalists, believing the Earth and everything we see when we look up in the sky exists in sort of a dome. That's the belief of organizer Robbie Davidson. He does not believe that there is a vast government conspiracy to hide the truth from us, but he does believe that mainstream science deliberately hides a creator or God. And he says it's become taboo to question science.
They become authority figures that are so high, you can't even question them. And I think it's dangerous for anybody to be at a point where they can't be questioned or critiqued or looked into.
Billboard for the convention just went up along E470.
People can go there, be uninhibited about their beliefs, what they think. They can discuss it openly and freely.
As a pilot and engineer, Bob used to think it was crazy. One of the theories he now believes:
flat earthers also do not believe that there is any such thing as space. And that's a crazy claim, right?
So what about astronauts?
The space shots are actually shot in a swimming pool. And they are shot in a place that's called the NASA Neutral Buoyancy Lab, okay? And in this neutral buoyancy lab, they have a full-size mock-up of the ISS.
Lynn, NASA calls it their Neutral Buoyancy Lab. It's just behind Ellington Field here and is becoming an important source of new revenue. NASA's Neutral Buoyancy Lab simulates space underwater. In a pool 4 stories deep and so wide, we saw astronauts floating on one full-size International Space Station replica.
Bob knows this is controversial. He welcomes debates and says,
investigate it yourself, do your own research. That's what matters.
If you are curious about the international conference, make sure to visit us online. We have more information there at cbsdenver.com. Live in Denver, Jamie Leary covering Colorado First.
But I would say that people should have a better understanding of why it is they believe what they believe. The answer really is because all the smart people say so. And that should never be your baseline of why you think something is or is not true. I did not think I'd get applause for that, by the way. That was nice.
So Buck just said the Earth is flat. That is freaking me out. All right.
It's not a way to make friends and you know, impress your family, because if they're not willing to look, they're going to think you're crazy.
And many attending the conference here say the theory has really gained popularity over the past few years, enough popularity where they can hold conferences like this. One factor of the growing popularity may be the coverage in the media. It became a hot topic recently when Duke's very own Kyrie Irving came out and claimed he believes the Earth is flat.
Kyrie is my little brother. He's my all-star point guard, superstar point guard, and if he decides he wants to say the Earth is flat, then so be it. So he's an interesting guy, man. And, you know, he believes it. So Kyrie, the Earth is flat, right? Yeah. So whatever. That's news. That's news. There we go.
No, the Earth is flat. Oh, here we go. The Earth is flat. There's no concrete information except for the information that they're giving us. They're particularly putting you in a direction of what to believe and what not to believe.
Is this like a long troll game? Are we being trolled?
I don't think we're being trolled because if you want to talk about anything that's scientific, two things must be met. Two underlining materials and variables are: is it reliable and is it valid? I just got off of a flight from Connecticut seeing my daughter, and this is a reliable. She's doing good.
And let me guess, the plane went straight. So
let me just say this, Mama. So I heard Kyrie talking about it, and I said, let me do my own scientific experiment. Let me take a look out this window.
Nope.
At 36,000 feet, I saw the skyline, and you know what I didn't see? A round skyline. It was flat from the left. And I went on the other side of the plane, it was flat on the right. You know what? Kyrie done broke it down.
Well, you may have seen it on your way to work or school or just driving around. A new billboard has some people thinking about the Earth.
And asking the question, could the Earth be flat? Greg Argos is here with more on the movement that is taking on centuries of scientific research. Greg?
It really is, guys. And Yuki, this was just unveiled just yesterday, in fact. This billboard, a digital billboard unveiled yesterday, and it's calling into question a theory most of us have accepted, that the Earth, of course, is round. But those behind this billboard say, well, we've all been tricked.
Drivers heading eastbound on the Schuylkill already battle some serious traffic. But now there's another distraction slowing them down, and it's just 100 feet above their heads. Sandwiched between two insurance ads is this bold 3-word billboard: Research Flat Earth. And for at least the next week, this ad will be blocking drivers' attention.
So Neil, you're not a climate scientist, but you're a very distinguished scientist and astrophysicist. What do you think about when people say, look, this is not settled science, there are still questions?
How do we know the Earth is not flat?
We don't. It's flat.
And flat earthers admit while many will say their beliefs are ridiculous, they believe the theories and conferences like this will continue to grow.
Probably most people who hear about it will laugh at it, think we're idiots. But we're not idiots. We're intelligent people from all walks of life and all ages.
In Cary, David Hirsch, CBS.
And ye shall know the truth, and the truth shall make you free. ye shall know the truth, and the truth shall make you free.
Okay, you guys remember how I showed you the maps that were here on Earth before 1958, before the governments took them out? And I'm going to show you the Encyclopedia Britannicas in the public libraries before 1958. Here's volume 2. Now, this is actually the Encyclopedia America, but the Encyclopedia Britannica is the same thing as Encyclopedia America. It's just the Britain version. So I call it the Britannica. Anyways, this is volume 2 out of the alphabet A. We're going to flip to the Antarctica, and this is from 1958, as you can see. Now, we're going to flip to the Antarctica and see what the Encyclopedia Britannica from 1958, before the Antarctic Treaty, says is there. Now, you won't find this in the new encyclopedias because the government's discontinued them. But what I want you to notice right here is, notice how it says the flights proved inland areas to be featureless in character, with a dome 13,000 feet high at about latitude 80 degrees south, longitude 90 degrees east. Take a really, really close look at that. Now I'm going to zoom it in for you. When they returned to New Zealand, these flights proved the inland areas to be featureless in character, with a dome 13,000 feet high at about latitude 80 degrees south, longitude 90 degrees east. Now, if this doesn't make sense to you, let me show you with an image on Google Earth's heliocentric model. And now here we are at 80 degrees latitude, 90 degrees longitude. And as you can see, we're about a third over the supposed continent of Antarctica. And there, it's supposed to be, the dome was supposed to be 13,000 foot high. Makes no sense, right? Okay, now on this geocentric model, all of us truthers, flat earthers, know that the supposed Antarctica is nothing more than the ice wall. So if we go out here about a third over the ice wall, just like you've seen on the heliocentric image, about a third over Antarctica, then this is where the dome comes down to meet the ice, somewhere hundreds of miles off through the ice desert there, but somewhere right in here around 80 degrees latitude and 90 degrees longitude, this dome is about 13,000 foot above this ice wall. Now, if you go back out into the center of the Earth, or up the North Pole, and try to go up to the firmament with a little bit of calculation, it's going to show that it's about 385,500 feet away. It's really, really simple. And isn't it awful coincidental that the Antarctic Treaty of 1958 bans anyone from going to Antarctica? And guess where that ban starts at the 80th parallel south. And as you can read here, Antarctica is a continent, is located in the southern hemisphere. It is the 5th largest continent and has an area of about 14 million square kilometers. The continent is almost completely covered by ice and is very difficult to access. There are only a few research stations that are located on the continent. People can only visit Antarctica if they have permission from the authorities. Now, if you're not familiar with any of this at all, and you're just now new to all this, you could say, well, this guy's crazy. He doesn't know what he's talking about. But what you got to ask yourself is, why do all the maps before 1958 show a flat Earth with the ice wall around it and a firmament, a dome? And not to mention the fact that all ancient cultures depicted a flat Earth with a dome over it, a firmament over it, for thousands of years. And let's not forget that the Holy Bible depicts a flat Earth with ice walls and a firmament being a dome. And why does the encyclopedia tell you that there's a dome there, and it gives you the exact height at a certain latitude and longitude? Well, the reason is because in 1958, that's when all governments and all nations of the world signed the UN treaty to ban all civilians from going to the Antarctica. And NASA came in and erased everything, just like they're erasing everything today. So again, ask yourself, if all this existed before 1958, why doesn't it exist now? How come it all of a sudden was erased and just disappeared out of your history books, out of your encyclopedias, out of your libraries? Wake up, people. Wake up.
And ye shall know the truth, and the truth shall make you free.
It sure better. Yay! What's up? Hello?
It's time.
So Neil, you're not a climate scientist, but you're a very distinguished scientist and astrophysicist. What do you think about when people say, look, this is not settled science, there are still questions?
Chuck, got to get this off my chest, like now.
Okay. Hopefully it's not like any chest hair.
No, it's not.
Okay,
I'm not
good.
particularly hairy anyway, so that's not a thing.
Okay.
All right, so when people say they want to go into space,
I want to go.
What do they
into space.
typically mean by that?
They mean I'm going to be an astronaut. I'm going into space, man. I'm going up there. I'm going up there.
Up there, and generally they mean they want to go into orbit. All right, anyone who has ever been in space.
They don't mean that. They want to go to space, man.
Well, okay. If that's the case, do you know how many people have left low Earth orbit?
Well, first of all, you are going to have to define low Earth orbit for me.
Okay, sorry. Okay.
Because
I'll say it another way. All right, the Apollo astronauts. Okay, that left Earth.
Right.
To go to the moon.
All right.
Okay.
And that's space.
Okay, wait a minute. So there was Apollo 10, 11, 12, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. So 8 missions left Earth to go to the moon. Not all of them landed, right? As famously Apollo 13 didn't. And Apollo 10 was just a dry run for Apollo 11. But those are the only people who have ever left Earth for a destination.
That's cool.
Every other astronaut, hundreds of them, are called astronauts, and we still say they went into space. And what that means is they went into low Earth orbit.
Oh, that's just awful.
And so low Earth orbit is, in practice, where the space station is. It's about a couple of hundred miles up. So the distance from Earth's surface to the space station is less than the distance from New York City to Washington, D.C.
Oh, God, why are you depressing me like
I'm
this?
I'm just trying to be honest about this.
This is awful.
Okay? So when people say to me, you want to go into space, and because somebody's got some orbital tourist thing, and I'm thinking, to me, space is the large-scale structure of the universe. Thank you. Not boldly going where hundreds have gone before, driving around the block, as low Earth orbit indicates. Okay? So, yeah, you can drive to Earth orbit in, 3 or 4 hours.
Oh.
All right? If the road were pointing straight up. So NASA and others, I'm not implicating NASA uniquely in this, when they say we are going into space, that's what they mean. Okay?
Okay, that makes sense.
That makes sense. So there's a distance for which that's it. And they rounded the number, so it's a nice clean number. It's 100 kilometers up, or about 62 miles.
Damn.
Okay?
So is the space station space? Is that beyond that threshold?
It's outside of that definitional layer.
But it's still low Earth orbit.
It's still LEO, low Earth orbit. And I'm sorry, as an astrophysicist, to me, space is the large-scale structure of the universe.
All right. Listen, I can't find fault with anything you said. It kind of makes sense.
Frankly, I have been pushing NASA to revamp its vision. The shuttle did some extraordinary work in low orbit experiments, this International Space Station, moving cargo. It was an extraordinary accomplishment, and we're very proud of the work that it did. But now what we need is that next technological breakthrough. We're still using the same models for space travel that we used with the Apollo program 30, 40 years ago. And so what we've said is, rather than keep on doing the same thing, let's invest in basic research around new technologies.
I'd go to the moon in a nanosecond. The problem is we don't have the technology to do that anymore. We used to, but we destroyed that technology, and it's a painful process to build it back again.
Now what we need is that next technological breakthrough. We're still using the same models for space travel that we used with the Apollo program.
The problem is we don't have the technology to do that anymore. We used to.
Previous program, we are setting a course with specific and achievable milestones. Early in the next decade, a set of crewed flights will test and prove the systems required for exploration beyond low Earth orbit.
The technologies that we're testing out on space station are definitely helping us with our goals of going beyond low Earth orbit.
Well, that's a great question. The plan that NASA has is to build a rocket called SLS, which is a heavy lift rocket. It's something that is much bigger than what we have today, and it will be able to launch the Orion capsule with humans on board, as well as landers or other components to destinations beyond Earth orbit. Right now, we only can fly in Earth orbit. That's the farthest that we can go. And this new system that we're building is going to allow us to go beyond. and hopefully take humans into the solar system to explore. So the moon, Mars, asteroids, there's a lot of destinations that we could go to, and we're building these building block components in order to allow us to do that eventually.
Nowadays, outer space is a given in everyone's mind. It's virtually in every movie, video game, comic book, novel, and even music and TV shows, causing mostly everyone to believe in outer space without question, even though they have never been there or seen it for themselves. Did you know that we are told that a mere 536 people have been to space, with only 24 of them traveling beyond low Earth orbit? That's barely a drop in the bucket as far as the entirety of Earth's population is concerned. And one of the funniest things is that all 24 people that have supposedly been past low Earth orbit come from the Apollo missions that took place between 1963 and 1972.
Now think about that. The only people that have been to space, and I say that in quote when I say space, are these 24 guys. And the last time they went was 1972. And they just all happened to be Freemasons. Out of 7.8 billion people in the world, only these handful of people say they've been to space. And that's what your whole belief system lies upon. These 24 guys, what they say they seen. Freemasons. And no one since then has been beyond low Earth orbit because they lost the technology to go back there. They never lost the technology. They never had it. And as long as they say they lost it, can't none of these new astronauts try to go there, and that's their excuse, so they never find out there's a firmament. You can't go anywhere beyond what they call low Earth orbit. So after 90 years, we're still only able to go in the same spot August Piccard went in 1931. And that's because you can't go any further.
This is a story about legacy. People who know they were put here to do something different, something that would change the world.
And action!
You have August Piccard, and he goes into space and something that's never been done. My wild rabbit is to inspire everybody. I can see that in August Piccard and Jacques Piccard because they represent never stop, never settle more than anything I've seen.
Professor Piccard, the Belgian scientist, started the serious game of searching for the world's roof, searching for the world's roof, searching for the world's roof.
Professor Piccard, the Belgian scientist, has ascended to heights never before reached by man to study the stratosphere, that unknown region which surrounds the Earth at a distance of more than 7 miles. The preparations for the flight began at midnight, but thousands of people had made the journey from Zurich in special trains, whilst a battalion of Swiss troops held down the guy ropes. Professor Piccard himself superintended the arrangements, and then, when all was ready, he clambered inside the gondola which contained a mass of scientific instruments and gave the signal to let go. The balloon rose quickly and eventually climbed to over 10.5 miles above the Earth. Just imagine, whilst we were sweltering in the heat wave, he was nearly frozen to death in 15 degrees centigrade below zero. After being aloft for over 12 hours, he eventually landed near Lake Garda in Italy.
We were on the scene as soon as the Austrian Alpine troops you now see on their way to the glacier to recover the envelope and gondola in which the intrepid professors had made a perfect landing.
And that capsule still sits at the Brussels Air Museum to this day from 1931. This professor was on coins, he was on stamps, he was in Popular Science magazine, and you got to ask yourself, well, why haven't we heard about this guy in history? Well, because he statement right here in Popular Science magazine, 1931, about the shape of the Earth, what he seen when he went up, and it says, it seemed a flat disc with an upturned edge. And that is why he's not in the history books. And this was the very first man ever up there, and he told what he saw in Popular Science, 1931, Professor Auguste Piccard. 90 years later, and NASA's capsule still looks like Auguste Piccard's capsule from 1931. The technology still looks the same, and it is still the same because we can't get past the firmament. There's no place to go.
Now, one thing I really want your generation to embrace is that the Earth is a closed system. We cannot leave the Earth. There's no place to go.
And ye shall know the truth, and the truth shall make you free.
Horse is a horse, of course, and no one can talk to a horse, of course. Sure.
I got a question. Anybody there? How can God rock and do dishes on the side of a spinning globe? That's the question right there. No idea if my mic's working. Is anybody here? So shut up anytime during this meeting.
How you doing, Dave?
Or somebody mumble something. Can you please remumble?
I said, how are you doing, sir?
Okay, that was much more articulate. Hello, Mr. Rookie. We continue to not exist on the side of a spinning oblate paroid, as far as I can tell. I'm wondering if God Rockin' has broken any of the dishes that he's currently handling.
That's a good question.
God Rockin', have you broken any dishes?
What are you saying?
Have you broken any of those dishes that we hear clattering?
No, I was making some soup. Sorry, guys.
It's all right. As long as you
Sorry,
don't have any
sorry,
broken
sorry.
glass shards around you, you're okay. Enjoy your soup.
I apologize.
How can you have soup on the side of a spinning oblate paroid, God Rock? How can you do that? I don't see how that's humanly possible.
Well,
The soup would spill. Come on,
because
man.
soup finds its level. That's it.
There you go. It's level soup. Enjoy your level soup.
Thank you. I will.
Oblate soup wouldn't really taste right, I don't think. All right, this is me shutting up so somebody else talk.
All right, well, this is me talking.
So you survived Memorial Day weekend in California, rookie. Good for you.
I did, yeah, and no one burnt the neighborhood down, believe it or not. Does anybody by chance remember the Noid? Avoid the Noid, you know, the thing that they had for Domino's Pizza? It was like a stupid little character that. Yeah, anybody remember that?
I wish I didn't, but I remember it.
Yeah. I was just thinking about that the other day. Every time you say spheroid, oblate spheroid, I always think about the Noid. I always think we ought to come up with like a character that's like that. Avoid the spheroid. But I know I'm silly. I say. I'm a little fucked in the head lately. You know how it is. People everywhere. Crazy people. I thought I was nuts until I met some of the people that are in the world and the crazy stuff they believe. It's like, wow, man. I thought I was bad.
They think they're on the exterior of a oblate spheroid zipping around through nothing, and that's hilarious.
It is quite hilarious, actually.
It's funny when you think about it that way.
What's funny is that why they believe it.
Because of gravity, man.
Yeah.
Second grade, the globe is in the corner of the classroom. It's all true. Just get out of my face with it.
You know what? Isn't it funny how we always wanted to go and rush up and play with it and poke at it?
Yeah.
I mean, it's kind of like we always knew it was something wrong with it. Right?
It was
we
not
were like
for
fascinated by
educational
it. Like, what's
purposes.
this? Yeah, if I would have known that was written on the bottom, I would have been a little irritated.
The teacher failed to point that out. This is not for educational purposes.
I don't think the teacher even knew it.
Yeah.
Probably still to this day, the teachers don't know it. That's what I mean. Is it's so amazing how people could be so completely clueless about stuff that you'd think that they would notice, but they just don't seem to pay any attention to it, nor even care when you bring it up to them. It's like, oh no, I don't care. I can't do nothing about it. So what do I care? Just let people have their way. I'm like, well, are you sure that's a good idea? Oh yeah, it's a great idea. I'm like, nah, I don't think so.
It don't matter if there's a ball or not. It's just like I got to work tomorrow. Get out of my face.
Yep.
Blah blah.
Something like that. Or, it's not that important. I don't know why you waste your time on it and get all stressed out about it. I'm like, well, I only get stressed out about the people who deny it. I don't really get stressed about the fact that the shape of the earth is. I mean, I got that figured out already. Frustration comes where I tell people about it. People that I love want to show them the truth, and they tell me I'm nuts. That's what bothers me. Personal level, it doesn't bother me at all. I'm okay with believing something you don't believe. It's fine with me. I don't got anything personal against anybody because they don't believe what I believe.
They wish. When they start trying to tell me something is part of my reality and they can't prove it, that's a problem. But
Well, yeah,
I try,
then I'm gonna at least say something. Yeah, of course.
I try not to be stressful about it anymore. People just go on, just stay on my face with it, you know.
Yeah. Sometimes that's the best way to deal with it. Yeah. I hear you. I don't know. I have a feeling that a lot of people are gonna wake up. It seems to be popular lately to talk about flat Earth. I've actually heard it commented on in mainstream, which is not something I normally notice. Normally, it's just the YouTube videos that make fun of it. You know what I mean?
Just looking through the list, looks like the usual suspects here.
Mm-hmm. I saw that.
Anybody's got anything to say? Speak now or speak later. It's your choice. It's your free will.
Yeah. Speak now or speak later or speak even later than that.
You could speak even later than that if you wanted to. Or you could just not speak, because that's a choice also.
Well, you know, a lot of people are just here to listen, so we understand that, I guess.
Even if you choose not to decide, you still have made a choice. That's a lyric by Rush.
Yeah, I was going to say that's a Rush song, yeah. I was going to say, what song is that? But I think is it Red Barchetta or something
I
like that?
will choose free will.
I choose free. It's a good song, too.
Let's pick on somebody random, see if they're at their mic. I heard that super spinning monkey ball has went back to the globe and accepted all of its parameters and claims as full-fledged beliefs.
Yeah, that douchebag.
He's given up on flat
I've
water.
got a response to that one. Sorry, you've triggered me.
Nice. Got him.
Triggered me. I am listening. I'm just busy, that's all.
All right.
Damn you for being busy.
At least I triggered you, man. I take all that back.
Yeah, we take it back now that we know you're there.
I like his name, Super Spinning Monkey Ball. It's a hilarious name.
Yeah, it's good. It's a little long
Basically
for my taste.
sums it up. It's what the people believe. They're on a spinning ball and they came from monkeys.
Yeah, that's it. Super spinning monkey ball. That's
There
why
you
the
go.
monkey ball series is so funny. Dragon balls and monkey balls. I don't know why everything has to be about shafts and poles and balls and.
I rewatched some of the Planet of the Apes movies a couple weeks ago and totally new perspective watching those movies now.
I'm telling you, right? You're like, wait a minute, he's saying truth right there. It's like pun. Yeah, it's full of very. I find it funny to watch any movie now. Just going back and watching movies at all, you notice things in there you didn't notice, and it gets kind of creepy sometimes because it'll be like, wow, I didn't notice that before. You know, like stuff that you remember very, very well, and you missed that part. I was talking about this. I think it was yesterday or this morning. I was saying, it's funny how there's different kinds of people. Some people just watch a movie just for what it is. They just see the story only. Other people, like me, I'll pick it apart. I'll find all the things that are wrong with it and ask myself why the person who made the movie allowed that. And I'll let that bug the crap out of me for a week sometimes. But it's just how I think, like I can't really help it. But those kind of situations actually teach me things because later I'll go and research it to figure out what that is, and I'll learn something in the process. So it's kind of interesting how you would just think it was a silly thing to look up or to research, but when I did, and then it's like, wow, that's interesting. I didn't know that part of that or whatever. I always get a kick out of what I learned just by, like when I go and try to prove somebody wrong or whatever, just whatever, I get driven to go and research something, and then I learn something. It's like, wow.
Okay, give us one. Give us one example, Ricky. Of
that. What have you learned?
Oh no, you're gonna put me on the spot.
That's right.
Well, I learned a little bit about cognitive dissonance. I was reading about that and about the psychological part of the brain. What causes it and why your brain protects itself from things. And I had no idea that our brains, had these common philosophical or psychological traits that really affected your emotions and your psyche. I wasn't aware of that. So that was something that I learned that just blew my mind. Like I was really blown away by that. Another one would be patents on television. I've been researching that too, and that's quite interesting. I wasn't aware that there was devices on TVs that they've got. I wasn't aware of that at all. Even though people had told me things about it, and mentioned it, and swore about it, and all that, I always thought, I'll never see the truth of it. But sure enough.
All right, you guys continue if you can. I got nothing else. We're still searching for that elusive curve. Does anybody know when, how, and where anybody ever directly measured Earth's curvature? Please share that with us here. We'd be interested to know.
Yeah, we'd love to see something like that.
Direct measurements of Earth's curvature, the elevation drop over distance. That's what we need to
that's
see.
really stretching. Stretching it there, but because we know it's flat, measures flat. So asking for curvature or proof of it, it's like asking for proof of unicorns or things that we know do not exist. It seems nonsensical to me to ask for a curvature. It's flat. They're not going to find it. So
yes, we're just simply asking for proof of claims made, right? They're making the claim, so let's see the proof.
Well,
right.
it's an impossible task.
It's not forthcoming, is it, God Rock? No.
It's an impossible task. But then again, all of the globe proofs or evidence to show that we live on a globe, they're all impossible. It can't be done. It's not a globe. It's a flat plane. So asking for evidence of a globe is like, wow, they can't produce it. So I don't know. I just think we need to find a different approach somehow to open their eyes and so that they realize that they cannot produce any of the claims. Just can't. It's impossible.
But the people we speak to are the same people trying to tell us that straight lines are curved. Like, they're too far gone. It's like the movie or the book, even 1984, where they're trying to get the guy to say 2 + 2 = 5. They're trying to get us to agree that straight lines are curved, and they're clearly not. They're straight. We can see the straight. They measure straight, but to them they're curved. And those people, I don't think there's any going back for them. I think they're too far gone.
I'd have to agree with you there. You can't reason with somebody that's unreasonable, to put it lightly. You can tell you a straight line's curved, and go ahead and jog on. Not much I can do for you.
Excuse me.
I mean, Google's on our side on that one as well. Like, if you type into Google, "are straight lines curved?" the first thing it comes up with, it's not a website, it's its own explanation. Wait, "are straight lines curved?" A curved line is defined as a line that is not straight, but is bent. There you go.
Yep, that makes sense. We can't agree on what definitions are. There's not much hope reasoning with people.
Yeah, that's the problem, right?
But their own reasoning for having curved straight lines is also insane. They say because curving around the ball is the shortest distance from A to B, that it must be straight. But the shortest distance would be through the ball in a straight line. That would be a straight line. It's like me saying the shortest distance to the shop, my local shop, is going outside my house, turning right, going round the corner, turning left, and there's buildings in the way. So by their own logic, that would also be a straight line because it's the shortest distance. When it's clearly not because I've taken multiple corners.
There you go. Thank you. All right, we've been joined by someone with no roles, hidden key. I'm currently driving, so if there's somebody here that can try to unmute hidden key, we'll try to talk to him. Maybe. Is there anyone here that can unmute him or her? You take that as a no. All right.
either people are like fucking super busy this year, or like people are dying off from this Discord because it's dead for at least 10 hours before anybody says anything on here. 'Cause
Or is this longer?
I get on early in the morning. There's nothing for like until now. So I'll wake up at like 6 in the morning, 7, nothing until like now. It never used to be like that. We used to get a lot of the Europeans and all that stuff, but it's not like that
I
anymore.
think it's because they're free. They're free to go back outside again. A lot of people are going back to their normal people routine.
Yeah, because like now it's always the bot, because sometimes I get on, I stay and the bot's going, and I was talking, like, oh shit, it's a fucking bot, man. It's like,
Yeah, I did that this morning and almost talked over it.
That was the funniest when Nathan Oakley did that, though.
So what are we going to talk about, boys?
so now all of a sudden, Boeing is in space now, docking with the space station. So it took Boeing 60 years to do that, 60, 70 years, but they've been on top for how long? But now all of a sudden, oh, let's do it too. Right? It's funny now. Everybody
They're like late to the. They're like late to the party. They're like, "Oh shit! Okay, no, let's go. Sorry guys, no, we're coming.
right, and they started the party, right? Technically, but they didn't. They never
Right.
went. But now all of a sudden, oh, let's go be like everybody else. Like it doesn't make any sense.
It's probably just more lucrative now. They're like, okay, we can make some serious cash on this one now because everybody's starting to pay attention. Let's go.
Yeah.
Yep, it was almost 2 weeks ago. I put the article in the live stream voice text. One of the articles.
No, for Boeing.
Yeah. Boeing's Starliner, a spacecraft, has successfully docked to the ISS, paving the way for Boeing to carry astronauts to the station in the future, even though they're about to blow it up.
This is so stupid. So fucking stupid. I mean, the space station should at least by now be at least 30 times the size, that it's supposed to be, that it is now. You telling me they haven't added to this thing? It should look like Star Trek space station by now.
Say what?
Well, the space station, its mass hasn't increased in how many years? You know what I'm saying? It should be so big by now. It should be something you could see with the naked eye without any problems. It should be so huge by now, and it's not. It's still the same little capsule corp thing going on, like fucking Dragon Ball Z or some shit. Fucking little capsules. I mean, the technology hasn't advanced that they haven't been able to update that damn thing. I mean, come on.
Well, Fraud, if they had too much weight to it, it'd be hard to get it up to speed at 17,000 miles an hour, or whatever they do.
Well, they seem to catch up to it quite easily.
But at least they have complete videos and stuff of them building it here on Earth. Like, oh, wait a minute, they don't have that, do they? I'll shut up.
Yeah, it just magically appeared. It's like so crazy.
Guess our new person left. We did have a new person here for a second, but they're gone now, so. Back to you, Fraud and Glot Flabe. Glot Flabe? What do I call you now, Sean?
Who?
Gloat Flob. Glad Flobe.
It's just my receipt. I have to sign it. Thank you. So what are you going to do, this intermittent thing all day? Where somebody talks and then somebody else talks and then everybody gets quiet again?
Yeah, I don't really have nothing much.
We've got to think. There's got to be a subject that we all want to talk about that we can talk about.
We're mixing in the right amount of silence and talking, so you're running it right now, Rick. Way to go.
Oh, damn it. Yeah. My bad.
What shall we talk about?
Well, I've had up our wins for 2 days. That sucks.
How does that work on a spinning globe if you're on the outside of one of
Oh,
those
that
things?
actually blows, but okay.
Bada bing!
Wind's aloft will be screwed up on a spinning globe, but it's all relative, I guess. Okay. Yeah.
Ain't my relatives.
30-mile-an-hour wind's pretty stiff, especially if you're trying to do anything in the wind.
It's quite fun, actually. Especially if you got an umbrella or a kite or something. It's a lot of fun.
I got to admire people live in places like North Dakota that have all those different kinds of weather, deal with all kinds of crap. I don't know how you do it, but somebody's got to do it.
Yeah. I don't know. I like the different weather. I like snow and stuff. As long as I don't have to drive really far, maybe it's not too bad. It would suck if you were a truck driver. I never thought it was a big deal. Driving in the weather and stuff. I always found it challenging.
I mean, this is literally crazy, dude. It's been like this for 2 days. It's just so fucking crazy.
Yeah, the weather here is weird too. It's like a week ago, it was like 100 degrees out, almost 100 degrees. I mean, it literally was like 90 something degrees in the backyard. And I was like, I got sunburned just from being out in the sun for like an hour. It was like crazy. And it was like hot like that for 2 days. And it was windy, like literally the night, normally in the evening, it cools off, and cool winds come in. Instead of being cold wind, it was hot wind. It was like a heat wave. And the very next day after that, it was 60 degrees in the morning. The day before, it was 85 degrees in the morning at like 9 o'clock. I was like, dude, this is insane. Like, how is that possible? It's just crazy. I've never seen weather change like that. I mean, in Missouri, you can expect it, like to rain and then, be hot again. But out here in California, it's not normally like that. Oh, here we go again. Run out of here. Don't make me go to the library and get a book to read. 'Cause I'll do it. I'll get a book about psychology.
Do it, man. Read something.
A book. What is this book you speak of? What are those things?
Well, yeah, you know, those it's like paper stacked. It's stacked up, and then they sew it together with like binding, and they bind the back of it so you can fold it open and you turn the pages and there's words on it. It's amazing.
No
Too
way.
much information.
You
Yeah,
can use it to
really.
prop up your chair if it,
You're,
Kind
for
of like
like
a
you're
computer
making
screen,
that shit
only
up.
only on paper. It's pretty cool.
You're
You can
making
keep
that
a
shit up,
copy of it in
man.
case you. I know, huh? Should be.
Paper and ink and stuff. I don't believe it.
Yeah,
I just
what's
don't
that?
believe it.
All those trees had to die.
paper bricks.
It's tree murderers. Paper bricks, yeah. I don't know. I enjoy books. I like looking at books, especially when they got photographs in them, even though the
Well,
photographs are never really
if
realistic.
you read to us, I'll listen.
Really, I got a book here about why evolution isn't true. It's called The Evolution Factor. I also have a book about psychology.
Let's start with that one. Why evolution isn't true.
Okay, I got to get home first. Going back home, going to get my grandmother's. She nominated me to go to the floor. I will be very sure of it. So, neighbors, I swear. If they only knew. All right, come home.
Can you start it with Once Upon a Time, Rookie?
Once upon a time, in a galaxy far, far away, there were two dumbasses, and they procreated, and now we're all stuck here. Those damn bastards. They went and did it. Screwed themselves all up.
Grandma happy now?
Grandma's happy now.
Jeez. One of those days, isn't it? Havarti cheese. Have you ever had Havarti cheese before? It's delicious. It's got a little kick to it. Kind of like Swiss, but different. It's good. How is it that there's still food in the world I've not eaten that's so good that I should have tried already? Did you ever wonder that sometimes? Of course not. You're not listening, are you? All right, where's my book? It's right here somewhere. What did I do? Ah, there it is. Holy shit, it's hot in here. Wow. All right. There's lots of sections in this book. See, which one shall I read today? Volume, Halo, Freedom, Reader from Death Race. Darwin's famous statement. I wonder what that is. You're an accurate name. Yeah. That's it. Darwin's famous pond statement. Written below is a page from Charles Darwin's letter in which he conjectured as to the possible origin of living creatures. That conjecture was about as far as he took process. For nowhere in his Origin of Species is the origin of the species discussed or even hinted at all. The present writer does not have a printed copy of the last part of the scribed note below. Interesting. Sorry, I'm chewing my cheese up. I'm done in a second. First magnetic field. Let's see what that one says. Page 140. I don't know if I want to read that because it's something I don't like. I don't think I like that. That's crazy. Age of the Earth. Earth species, mutations, laws of nature. Ooh, on page 777. I think I'm going to read that section. Section 18. Page 777. That's a very interesting spot. Okay, so I'm going to read parts out of this book. It's called The Evolution Cruncher. It's by Vance Farrell, and you can get it for free. You can download it for free on evolutionfacts.com or .org or something like that. I think it is evolutionfacts.org. Yeah, evolutionfacts.org. Or yeah. So anyway, it's a compilation of information about evolution that proves that it's not true. Now,
Evolution. What is that?
well, that's the idea that we evolved from a single-celled organism, which isn't true, but this book explains why it's not true and why they and how they've lied and some of the secret stuff that they've done to cover
Did you
up their
say
tracks.
evolution? Evolution?
Evil, yeah, evolution. Shall I begin, or would you rather just talk about it? Because I don't have a problem with not reading. I'm not all that great of a reader anyway.
No, start reading, please.
All right, chapter 18 is called The Laws of Nature. The laws of nature oppose the evolutionary theory. This chapter is, okay, I'll just explain where it's from. According to evolutionary theory, all matter came into existence by itself. At a later time on our planet, living creatures quite literally made themselves. Such views sound like Greek myths. But if these theories are true, where did the laws of nature come from? That's a good question. Too often, these are overlooked. There are a variety of very complicated natural laws. How did these come into existence? People assume that they too just sprung up spontaneously, but are they assuming too much? Introduction. This chapter is of such importance that after reading it, someday someone will say, "Why did you not place that at the beginning of the book?" Someone else might add, "All you need is this chapter, and you can omit the rest." The earlier portions of this volume met evolution on its own ground. When given a hearing, common sense combined with scientific facts will always tear the theory of evolution into pieces. Evolutionary theory is built on two foundational pillars. There are two laws that crush those pillars to powder. Let us look at the two evolutionary pillars and the two laws that destroy them. Number one, evolution teaches that matter is not conservative, but self-originating. It can arise from nothing and increase. The first law of thermodynamics annihilates this error. Number two, evolution teaches that matter and living things keep becoming more complex, which is bullshit, and continually evolve toward greater perfection. Just as organic matter becomes successively more ordered and perfect via the Big Bang and stellar evolution, so living creatures are always evolving into higher planes of existence via species evolution. The second law of thermodynamics devastates this theory. Okay, now it says, 1. Looking at law, designs and laws. In our civilizations, we find that it is highly intelligent people who design the machinery and make the laws that govern the nation. Because of our human limitations,